It began with a bold vision to build KL Metropolis, a development that would establish a new international trade and exhibition district in Malaysia, built in partnership with the government by NAZA Group's property arm, NAZA TTDI. The crown jewel of this grand vision is the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Center, the preferred international destination for exhibitions and events. Like the fine gold and silver threads of the Songket weave that inspired its facade design, MyTech is the embodiment of refined craftsmanship, creativity, and precision. As Malaysia's largest exhibition center, MyTech's functional spaces are unprecedented. Primed for exceptional displays, surrounded by state-of-the-art facilities and amenities. This iconic structure affirms a commitment to innovative excellence. It is a showpiece of engineering ingenuity. An enduring icon built for a new Malaysian era of success.
Hi, welcome to our technology tech talk. You know, usually I'm with this crazy guy called Karamjit Singh, but today we have today I have the pleasure, right, of since it's a women's empowerment summit, to having Jasmine Begum with us from Microsoft. Jasmine, welcome to our tech talk, so-called tech, empowering women through technology, right? And one of the things I think is very interesting is that we talk a lot about technology as an enabler, as a tool, but one of the things that's been highlighted over the last couple of weeks at least is technology is also dangerous. And briefly we talked a little bit about safety and technology, and especially with women, right? Especially with children. How do we enable technology to be safe? You wanna maybe we can start with that. Let's start with the negative. I mean, we can talk about Trump's coronavirus testing positive and so on, but let's talk about the negative pieces of technology, and then maybe we can zoom into later to technology as an enabler, and see how that goes. So let's dive into this. Is technology really safe, and what do we need to make it safe?
Thanks, Roshan. I believe that, like anything in the world, you can use a knife to cut vegetable, or you can use a knife to commit a crime.
A crime, yeah,
right?
yeah, yep.
Like that. We find that with technology, it presents you a world of opportunity, but it also means you have to be responsible. we are so empowered with technology, but we sometimes forget that all of us have a responsibility around it. And I would like to emphasize on responsibility, because it is everyone's responsibility to use it safely, and to ensure that people who are going to be affected by this technology are also kept safe. I think, zooming into your question about is it safe, I think safety is not the government's responsibility or the organization's responsibility. All of us as users have a responsibility to learn and to know, to be safe, and to keep our children safe. And women, and I think I shared this briefly with you, we like to share everything about our children, but are we keeping our children safe
Yes.
by posting all of this information online? So certainly, while uh, technology bridges the opportunity divide, I think it's critical for us to pause and think how we also keep everyone
And
safe.
how do you do that? That's one of those pertinent questions, right? I mean, we like to share, and technology has made sharing easy. It's democratized boundaries in the terms of, I know what's happening with my friends in the US and this and that. But how do we understand what what should be shared and what shouldn't? And that's a tough one.
And I think it comes back to the nuance of privacy, right? Privacy is a human right. And the fact that we are openly sharing, and the world would say, hey, you shared it, so do not gripe when somebody goes and viralizes something. But privacy here means keeping our children safe, keeping our information safe, because the world as we see it, we may think it's a flat world, but they are dark web. There's a dark web, and we know that bad guys lurking in this dark web, and they are waiting for an opportunity to see when you are vulnerable to take that information. So I think while social media has democratized boundaries and you are able to share, I think it's very critical that you also understand how you are putting rail guards and being safe online. I've seen children with their school badges or the school in the background and parents posting, and that is inviting
Dangerous, right? Yeah.
kidnappers to to expose, and just simple things. And what we may think as, can I go and log in a coffee shop and use the public Wi-Fi? Do we know how to use in private browsing? I think there is an important element of creating awareness. I think banks have done that quite well, constantly reminding people as you log in to internet banking to remind you about scams. So I think it's important that as we talk about democratization and bridging of opportunities, I think it's also critical that we do this in a responsible and be aware.
Yeah. So I think that's one aspect of it, is the safety of, especially what you post and managing that. But I think the other aspect, which we see a lot with kids, my kids included, right, is the addiction to devices, the addiction to social media, and also the beliefs that being transmuted, right? For example, I mean, we talked a bit about this, the return on likes. I mean, we talk about, when you make an investment, there's return on investment. But social media, when you get involved in social media, is the return of likes, right? How many likes, and then we start to build an entire image of who we are based on the likes that we have. And then we start to imagine that we are less of worth compared to somebody else who has more likes or more friends, and so on and so forth. And we have documentaries like Social Dilemma and others that are starting to at least start the conversation that there is a need for us, and this is it can be a tool, like you said, like a knife, right? It's an empowering tool, but it also can be a tool that slashes you down and makes you feel almost nothing, right? I mean, and that's where you have depression, you have all these rise in a whole bunch of mental issues, driven by the fact that the perception and beliefs are being shaped that they are not worth anything simply because of their value on social media, right? How do we counter some of these things?
So I think our children today come into a connected world. They do not know a world of being disconnected, and that presents a sort of both an opportunity and problem. The problem here is they need social validation. They need that constant social validation, and the return of likes that we talked about is that social validation. And once I don't have that social validation, then what happens? Therefore, I feel as a parent myself that as we live in a socially digitally connected world, as we give a lot of education to our children, it becomes imperative on us parents to teach them confidence. We need to
Mm,
tell them what is physical and what is virtual. And there is a tendency for young people to believe everything that is online because that to them is their real world. While we, as a digital immigrant, I'm quite dismissive of what I see online because I'm going, okay, uh, and being a bit more discerning
yep.
on what I consume. I don't think young people today are prepared to be that
Mm,
discerning, and they want to believe. And what is viral is equated to be the truth, because anything can be viralized today. Whether it is a little squirrel asking to drink a bottle of water from a tourist, or someone as simple as, posting their baby's pictures. But the point I would like to make here is to your question, as we teach our children the ABCs,
mm,
I think it's also important, C for confidence, that you do not need social validation,
mm,
and bringing back values that have been there for eternal times, good values that we can give children. It is even more important today that we give them these
mm,
values
mm,
and principles, so that it becomes their rail guard as they navigate both the physical and digital world. Young people today tend to be comfortable online, working from home and being online because they don't have to interact with people. But that also means, there goes the team building, there goes all of the different elements of the physical living, and they can live in a box in your palm,
mm.
or a desktop. I think it's important that as parents we have a role to play in educating them. And our challenge today is that parents, or digital immigrants like me, are challenged with children who are very advanced in technology, and children can bluff us,
Yeah, yeah. No, that's
right?
true. That's true. Absolutely.
So I think there's that,
The balance.
the balance and the social validation
Yeah.
does not make or break you.
Yeah, no, and I think your point is spot on. No? How do we as parents and also as leaders in organizations,
Mm,
right, be able to enable our employees and our kids to have that confidence? And I think it's a lot to do with what we do in building them up. You know, the character and one of the studies that we did over the last 10 years was this thing called the science of building leaders, and how do leaders actually grow. Ultimately, to have vision and ultimately to execute those visions and be able to influence people to drive those visions. It starts with character, right? So even if you look at a person like Adolf Hitler or a Mother Teresa, and you say both were leaders that actually managed to influence a lot of people to do something, right? But what distinguished them is character, right? And character is formulated very early on, and it's really is responsible of the community, parents, teachers, all of us. And it's not just moral character, it's also performance character and intellectual character, meaning the beliefs that we formulate. Oh, if I believe that, oh, I'm a small company, that means I can only do small things. Or I can say I'm a small company, that means I can do things more nimbly, I can do things faster. All these are beliefs that start to accumulate over the years, and we start to see that it become reality as they grow up. So I think you're spot on. Technology, we need to take it and we need to educate them that your self-worth is definitely not at all distinguished by that. That in fact that doesn't tell you anything, right, at all. Because sometimes even I just saw a couple of very influential people with a lot of followers commit suicides, and it's disturbing, right, to know that. And it's hard to understand the pieces of it. But you bring up another very important issue, I think, is that that's one side of technology that we need to be wary of, that we need to be mindful of, and we need to be clear about how to address it. But let's look at the other piece, right? The opportunity, right? You can also cut fruits with a knife. You can also, make sure that beautiful that fish that is disgusting is used, kindly taking out all the issues and then cooking it for a nice fish meal. At the end of the day, the knife is a very useful tool. Technology is also very useful too. But how do we need to start thinking about technology? One thing I learned from you is that we kind of think of technology, many times companies think of technology as silos,
yeah.
right? Or horizontals, right? Okay, this technology, this finance, this HR, this IT. With this new world, we are starting to see a lot more integration, and we are starting to see a lot more verticalization of everything, right? Even HR. And technology is one of those really verticals.
Enablers, yeah.
It's an enabler at every single piece of the organization, of the value piece. what does that mean for us, and also in terms of the empowerment space?
So we are in the middle of a women's summit at a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
What a combination. Women have been in the forefront and in the front lines of this pandemic as well. Nurses, doctors,
Mm,
first aid, all of that. But technology has also been that enabler, whether you want to detect hotspots and prevent outbreaks.
yes.
And do we see a world today where technology has not touched, from autonomous cars to healthcare to education? I think, as Satya Nadella said, what would have taken 2 years
Mm,
to transform, digital transformation has been shrunk down to 2 months.
yeah.
But how now we want to use this as also an enabler to recover? And I think we spoke about how the economy, it will take another 2 years for the economy to come back. But
Yeah.
how can we use the technology and for women to play a role in this? I think uh, women, a lot of women, and I know them, right, highly qualified women who have to give up their jobs to stay at home, to take care of their elderly, and to take care of their children. But now the pandemic has actually presented as an opportunity to remove the stigma of
Mm,
working from home,
absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where governments would not have thought of working from home previously because that would have been unacceptable. I need my direct report to be seated in front of me being punch card. But here today, the technology allows you to extend your citizen services from wherever you
Mm,
are.
mm,
Office is not where you go to right now. It is the desk you are
yep.
sitting at.
Yep.
So that, I think, is how we want to look at the opportunity it has presented. But again, I think also it allows women to nimbly go into an easy entry model to
Mm,
doing
mm,
entrepreneurship, to doing business,
yeah.
or to extend to your point. I'm a small company, I'm a startup that is ready to serve the world. I am not bound by my
Yeah.
borders.
Yeah.
I think it allows you to be bold, to be ambitious, and just to be innovative.
And I like the stigma point, because I also think about this a lot. Many times we are afraid, like I've got kids, I need to work from home, and so on. But because it's not the norm, right? You resist it, and so then you end up being unhappy both sides, right? The commute to work, and then you're not happy, that and you have to make decisions, this or this.
Right.
But today technology allows us to do both, right? I'm with my kids, but I also can work, and there's no more stigma because everybody's working from home, right?
Thanks to the
uh,
pandemic.
yeah, and so that's one positive, I guess. Now the negative is, like, if you can find jobs,
Yeah,
with
of
all
course.
the issues are there. But I mean, I think that's a very important point. We have to start to look at what are other stigmas that we need to remove, to enable and empower not just women, everyone, right?
Yeah.
And the plug and play entrepreneur today is a great example, right? I can, my wife, somewhere in January, decided she wanted to quit uh, teaching. She's a professor at the University of Malaya. She's like, I'm done teaching. I want to be an artist, because she was teaching art, and I want to be a practical artist. And so she started being an artist, and in with Squarespace, with all the plug and play, she managed to sell. She's been selling 10, 12 paintings a month, online, simply because of that plug and play economy. So anyone, and she's not a very technology driven. She's not very technology savvy, but she's been able to set up her own website, set up the payment gateway, do all of that, right? And I think that's what technology can bring to the table. It's anyone can plug and play and become an entrepreneur. And I think it's very powerful. And more of us need to be confident enough. Again, goes back to your thing. How much of confidence do we put into our
Put-
kids and our young adults and our community to say, the world is huge. There's great opportunity. There's a lot of abundance. How do we really attack, and how do we put ourselves out there to be able to make a difference? I think that's key.
And I think today we are also challenged by this multi generation. Going back to my generation, right? My generation, a digital immigrant who have, I come with certain biases and prejudices and cultural nuance. And we have the young people today who are, they are citizens of the world, whether you like it or not, because they live online mostly. And we are facing this dichotomy of people who come with a certain mindset, who claim to be leaders and impose these ideas, and they think all of this nuances can just be imposed, and the younger people are not ready because they think, why do I need to come to a face-to-face meeting when I can chat with you online? And that I think we need to bridge, and I think it is important as we see bigger generations, different generations coming online. I think it's important that someone from as a digital immigrant, um, we need to be also dismissing this thought of you are a young person, you do not know. And I think those are some of the leadership nuances we have learned. You are a young person, you have not eaten enough salt. I've eaten more salt than not
Then
good.
the rice then the rice that
We've eaten, right? So, but I think it's important that we, amongst others, in this world, I think where we are exposed to both the challenges and opportunities, we need to hear them out. We need to be open to their ideas. And if you want to build a strong culture, whether at home or in your organization, that we need to be open to accepting ideas. And technology now allows for that.
And I'm thinking also, when we talk about empowerment, there are a lot of platforms that are out there that enable us to empower. But when it comes to things like giving, volunteerism, and so on, there's not too many platforms that are big platforms, like the Facebook, the Instas, and out there. Is that something that organizations should start thinking about in terms of how do we build technology as an enabler to build platforms to enable people to be empowered and to empower others? I mean, again, it's one of those things. I think it's a big gap across the world, because you don't have a Facebook for volunteerism, or where people can volunteer and NGOs are connected, or a place where you can see how you can help others. I mean, there are little pieces here and there, but how do we make this into a bigger global initiative? I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, so volunteerism is something that has transitioned. Sorry, volunteerism has something that has remained largely physical. It hasn't migrated to digital world so much, because volunteerism is seen as me sitting here, going and
Helping
distributing
somebody.
food.
Yeah.
But I think, to your point, digital volunteerism has not caught up so much. I do know people who give pro bono time
Yep.
for legal counsel,
Exactly.
for legal aid.
Yes.
I do know mental health practitioners who give pro bono time to help people with mental health issues, because not everyone can afford these things. So, but they are all in their different silos.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, when you volunteer, especially in the professional side, I think we need to make sure people have the right qualifications. But general volunteering for cybersecurity, or coming online to say, hey, today I'm going to conduct this class on how do you be safe online.
Yeah.
But I think it is important that that we think about what would be that platform and how do you aggregate. But then we are also bound by cultural nuances, laws and regulations, where not everyone can do everything. And there are issues that may be open in some countries, where some countries are, and it's a crime in another country.
Absolutely.
So we need to look at that.
And to be fair, I'm just thinking, just thinking out loud, like, for example, there are many NGOs that need better Facebook pages, that need social media marketers, that need, so when we talk about volunteerism, it's not about helping, because when you help them, the ripple effect of them helping the community that they serve, it's phenomenal, right? I mean, so you help these guys get better volunteers, or get better quality donors, or get better quality attraction in terms of the source, right? I was in an orphanage in KK, and we were trying to figure out how do we get good, because they help abused kids. But how do they find those abused kids? But if you help them build a funnel to enable them to get better quality, and I say quality, but really people who are extremely abused kids, they can then up the ante in terms of the service that they provide. So I think that volunteerism shouldn't be, we shouldn't think of volunteerism as I need to go out there and help. I can sit at the back of my desk in a pandemic and be safe and still be able to volunteer. And I think that was, my point is that I think all of us have the capability to volunteer.
I let me share with you an example. Several years ago, Microsoft worked with Taylor's University, where they have a community program as part of their degree. So they wanted to work with Microsoft to make sure that these young people who are graduating will have a societal impact community service program. So what we suggested at that point with Dr. Raja, who was then the deputy dean of the IT school, I remember, was that, hey, why don't you bring your IT students? We will bring our
Technology.
The NGOs,
Okay.
our
Oh, okay.
NGOs who need exactly that, better websites, better applications, and we match with problem statement, and these IT students then volunteered to build those and we, of course, we donated the platform, and of course it was built out so that the NGOs would have better donation, better funnel, and they would be able to look for volunteers.
Absolutely.
What that happened at the end of it, we presented them a certificate for them to graduate from Microsoft. So they graduated with their degree, but they also graduated with a certificate for their contribution, because that was an innovative way for us to help them contribute. But we can certainly do that in any form and
Absolutely,
fashion
yeah,
today.
yeah. And and just to close out this, we talked about technology as an empowerment agent. We talked about technology, the safety of technology. What else, as the women community, as just an overall community, what else can we be looking at technology for? And how can we leverage it fully and optimize it? I mean, there's a lot of fear on AI and whether robots are gonna take our jobs, and whether we are all gonna end up being killed by Terminator type issues that come from. But what do you think, Dr. Jasmine?
I think technology as an enabler is a powerful tool. And I want to share an anecdote. My mother is 74 years old. I spoke on one of the topics last night on creative leadership. She had dialed in. I was horrified. But my 74-year-old mother, who is tech savvy, seemed to have connected and decided to go on StreamYard to watch me. That's the power of technology. I think it is
the danger, right? It's like, after that, they'll be critical of you. Why did you say that?
Why do you say that? Yes. So women and technology, it empowers every generation. It connects people up, and importantly, it opens up many opportunities. Whether you are a retiree and you want to teach online, or whether you are a young person who have just graduated and looking for a gig economy opportunity, or a student who wants to learn from YouTube. I think it just presents you. And women, as mothers, as wives, as leaders, learn. Do not have fear of technology. It doesn't break easily, certainly, but for sure, it is something that you want to learn more, so that your children do not try to trick you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I want to make a final call out. We have a partnership with Microsoft, actually, Leaderonomics and Microsoft, and together we can change the world, to run a summit to raise funds for NGOs in Southeast Asia. So we know that a lot of Southeast Asian NGOs are suffering from this pandemic. And so together with Microsoft platform, Microsoft Teams, a fantastic platform, with Together We Can Change the World, is bringing some great speakers from the US, from all over the world. And the speakers are donating their time to be able to empower a community of people to drive change, to be change makers. And so, if you go to this website, bouncebacksummit.org, and if you sign up there, you are not only going to be treated to 12 weeks of famous speakers coming to speak to you, you'll also be contributing 100% of that money to Southeast Asian charities. So bouncebacksummit.org, look out for it. And if you can, participate in it and support our initiative. And I'm very grateful to Microsoft for partnering with us to empower the NGOs and community initiatives in Southeast Asia. So final thoughts for the session as we close it. Any final insights that you want to leave with our audience?
The internet, the digital platforms, it presents us many opportunities. All I would say is be safe, don't post everything.
Yeah, and so I want to close with I think I want to reinforce Dr. Jasmine's point about technology is like a double-edged sword, right? We can use it to penetrate and cause a lot of harm, or we can use it to pry open things that are unopenable and open up opportunities and open up an entire world. So use technology for good. And I think Microsoft has this thing called Tech for Good, right?
Yes.
Which I love, right? Use technology for good, but also be willing to be empowering yourself and also use that to empower others, because the ripple effect, imagine if you empower one person and that person goes and empowers many, many people, that ripple effect is incredible, because then that's how transformation really happens. One person, transforming another, and that person transforming many, and then you keep doing that many times, right? And over time, you will have a significant transformation that happens in the world. So, wish you all the best. Have a fantastic summit ahead, and thank you so much for your time, Dr. Jasmine. Thank you for your time. Some great insights, and remember, you're not defined by return in likes. You're defined by who you are.
Thank you.
It began with a bold vision to build KL Metropolis, a development that would establish a new international trade and exhibition district in Malaysia, built in partnership with the government by NASA Group's property arm, NASA TTDI. The crown jewel of this grand vision is the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Center, the preferred international destination for exhibitions and events. Like the fine gold and silver threads of the Songket weave that inspired its facade design, MyTech is the embodiment of refined craftsmanship, creativity, and precision. As Malaysia's largest exhibition center, MyTech's functional spaces are unprecedented. Primed for exceptional displays, surrounded by state-of-the-art facilities and amenities. This iconic structure affirms a commitment to innovative excellence. It is a showpiece of engineering ingenuity. An enduring icon built for a new Malaysian era of success.
The world is a forest in which all lose their way. Through different paths we go astray. Walking our way against the stream of life, stumbling upon unexpected shards of struggle. Our future may seem carved in stone, but our heart knows the truth. They say the best way to see life is through the eyes of a child. How can I understand you if I've not gone through the life you have lived? Can you understand me if you have not visited my world? One should be acknowledged by their determination, not by the color of their skin. Do not compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with who you were before. When I falter, I should hope that a helping hand will lift me up. For some people, acceptance is not a given. Their freedom of choice is denied. Yet, like millions of butterflies swarming the lake, their lives matter too. Hear the pain in silence, even when it's unspoken. One can get trapped in a box that's too small to breathe in. I shall overcome and rise. When I'm done wiping off my tears, I shall give myself permission to laugh. I will flow into a whole new way of being in the world, empowered and healed. We are different. We are diverse. It's time to think about empowerment differently. The power of moving forward is fueled by colorful connections. From now on, the future will be written by all of us. But now, with my empowered voice.
The world is a forest in which all lose their way. Through different paths, we go astray. Walking our way against the stream of life, stumbling upon unexpected shouts of struggle. Our future may seem carved in stone, but our heart knows the truth. They say the best way to see life is through the eyes of a child. How can I understand you if I have not gone through the life you have lived? Can you understand me if you have not visited my world? One should be acknowledged by their determination, not by the color of their skin. Do not compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with who you were before. When I falter, I should hope that a helping hand will lift me up. For some people, acceptance is not a given. Their freedom of choice is denied. Yet, like millions of butterflies swarming the lake, their lives matters too. hear the pain in silence, even when it's unspoken. One can get trapped in a box that's too small to breathe in. I shall overcome and rise. When I'm done wiping off my tears, I shall give myself permission to laugh. I will flow into a whole new way of being in the world, empowered and healed. We are different, we are diverse. It's time to think about empowerment differently. The power of moving forward is fueled by colorful connections. From now on, the future will be written by all of us. But now, with my empowered voice.
It began with a bold vision to build KL Metropolis, a development that would establish a new international trade and exhibition district in Malaysia, built in partnership with the government by NASA Group's property arm, NASA TTDI. The crown jewel of this grand vision is the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Center, the preferred international destination for exhibitions and events. Like the fine gold and silver threads of the Songket weave that inspired its facade design, MyTech is the embodiment of refined craftsmanship, creativity, and precision. As Malaysia's largest exhibition center, MyTech's functional spaces are unprecedented. Primed for exceptional displays, surrounded by state-of-the-art facilities and amenities. This iconic structure affirms a commitment to innovative excellence. It is a showpiece of engineering ingenuity. An enduring icon built for a new Malaysian era of success.
The world is a forest in which all lose their way. Through different paths we go astray. Walking our way against the stream of life, stumbling upon unexpected shards of struggle. Our future may seem carved in stone, but our heart knows the truth. They say the best way to see life is through the eyes of a child. How can I understand you if I've not gone through the life you have lived? Can you understand me if you have not visited my world? One should be acknowledged by their determination, not by the color of their skin. Do not compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with who you were before. When I falter, I should hope that a helping hand will lift me up. For some people, acceptance is not a given. Their freedom of choice is denied. Yet, like millions of butterflies swarming the lake, their lives matter too. Hear the pain in silence, even when it's unspoken. One can get trapped in a box that's too small to breathe in.